We're going to do catch up week, week of January 27th. And the first person we're going to talk about is Justin Roiland. Sucks to be him. His situation is keeps getting worse and worse. It feels like now like it's stopped, but we don't know what else is going to pop up. And if people don't know, Justin Roiland is the creator, co-creator, along with Dan Harmon. Dan Harmon. Dan Harmon. For Rick and Morty. Then he went off to partner with someone else to do Solar Opposites and a new show that just released on Hulu, Koala Man. And Justin Roiland doesn't only just do, when it comes to Rick and Morty, he doesn't just do Rick and Morty. He does like 90% of the voices on the show, and you could hear it loud and clear. So he really does a lot of voices in the show and whatnot. They
come off a little samey, but
you can definitely say like he is the next big iconic like phenomenon since Seth MacFarlane. We can probably agree with that, right? Because Seth MacFarlane, when Family Guy came back, along with the Cleveland Show started being a thing, American Dad, Ted, like.
I would say I wouldn't even put him on the same level as Seth MacFarlane if we're talking about voice talents.
No,
if we're talking about prolific shows.
No, we're talking about of him, just his fame and how many projects that he is popping up.
Yeah.
Like, no other voice person so far has popping more since MacFarlane. Now just Roiland in that comparison, not talent, just more of
I was about to say
popularity.
His area, he is not.
Yeah, but popularity. No one else is doing that many multiple projects.
True.
In that way, but
and not with Seth MacFarlane has anybody had that many obnoxious fans. So.
Now, I would agree. I would say probably in the prime there might have been a bunch of them. Even though Family Guy was big enough that everybody was really, really all over it, especially when it came to the return of it after being canceled. So that's something that Seth MacFarlane, I bet he was very happy about when that came back. That's when it shot off his fame, not his first attempt.
I mean, Seth MacFarlane, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But Justin Roiland, there will be plenty of opinions and hot takes about Rick and Morty and Rick and Morty's fans and et cetera, et cetera. But you can't deny that.
I would agree with you that the people that are more outspoken is definitely Justin Roiland's fans of the Rick and Morty. Those people are way more outspoken than anybody else, and I think that's mainly because social media is now big as ever at that time. Back in the day, social media wasn't too big yet for the Family Guy returns and American Dad and the Cleveland Show at the time. So if you haven't heard, I don't know how you didn't hear. It's like everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, and everything like that. But apparently, he was fired from Adult Swim and Hulu due to domestic abuse charges back in May 2020, followed by other things that have been mentioned, including DMing underage girl and such. Now, these are just what I heard. They're alleged. I'm not 100% sure if these are all true. I'm not even going to go down that hole because it's not really worth the time.
These are allegations. It'll be decided in a court of law.
Yeah, which is supposed to be happening in April, I believe.
Pre-trial, I believe.
Pre-trial, yeah. But what does it have to do with video games? Well, he also resigned from his gaming studio, Squanch Games, the people that did High on Life.
Trover saves the universe.
Say what? Oh,
Trover saves the universe.
Yeah. I'm talking about the more recent one. I think out of all of them, this is the most popular one so far, I think, out of the other ones. Yeah. Because the other ones were more VR, and VR is still not as popular as this game coming on Game Pass. And give or take, right? But overall, it's just funny, about these kind of people where you see all this great successfulness that they're getting, then boom, all goes away in 2 seconds, because now we live in an era where like you make one mistake and it involves court, you're gone. And so
unless you're in the NFL,
True. True. But in this situation, when it comes to the world of animation or when it comes to animation studios or even gaming, sometimes you can easily get canceled very quickly.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where if your employer finds out that you had some domestic abuse or kidnapping or assault or whatever, basic unsavory charges, immoral charges, yeah, you're not going to really be surprised if they want to cut ties with you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
Morality clause in your contract, dude.
Yeah, no. It's funny because I was when I was at work, I was telling somebody this story, and I was like, could you imagine of a studio that didn't pull the trigger yet until another studio did it? Like, I was looking at Hulu, because Hulu was the next one that called it. But like, imagine like nothing happened, right? And Hulu hears it first, and they're like, ooh, that's not good. Ooh, what are we gonna do? It's like, I don't know. Well, he's not guilty yet. I mean, what do we do? And then you hear Adult Swim. Adult Swim's fired, and I was like, but we gotta fire him now. We're gonna look like assholes.
You're not far off from how the discussion went. I mean, you got to think they're thinking about image. They're thinking about PR.
Oh yeah, hands down, hands down. I don't really blame these companies for letting a person go. But it's going to be awkward if he's innocent. If he is innocent, that's going to be an awkward conversation.
Well, if he's found innocent, that's one thing. But it's still, like it or not, public perception still has a heavy weight. It still weighs very heavily.
True, but I'm not hearing the fans of Rick and Morty like asking for his head yet. Maybe you've seen it, but I haven't seen it.
Fans, no. Yeah. Critics, yes. Other outspoken elements of the internet, of course. Mm-hmm. My personal opinion is that's a bad look. You really shouldn't, abuse anybody domestically.
Yeah.
Or foreign. Or, kidnap anybody. Or anything like that. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's wrong.
So, with that, a lot of, when something always bad happens, everybody's already ready to throw the story out, throw the show down in the trash. Like, the show's over and they're not going to do it. And, the Adult Swim said they are going to continue doing it for another season. Mm-hmm. They're going to be looking for a recast, which, at first, when I first looked at it, I was like, this is going to be interesting to take away a guy that did most of the show's voices. It's going to be interesting what they're going to do with it. And then I watched a small video that came out a while back of people doing imitation of his characters. And I'm like, this would be interesting. I mean, they wouldn't be too far off. I mean, I think you're going to feel the vibe when the show goes on that he's not there. That's the imagination you're going to have. But I think that you have to try to give it a chance of what they're trying to do. Because it's better that they have it's better if they keep the show going. There's still some great ideas out there, straight writers. But sometimes I think that just because a voice person left, they just automatically just want to throw the show off the ledge. And I'm like, there's still a good story there. We just have to get use of the new voices. It
depends on, popularity of the show. It depends on the staff decision because, hey, if they can't get a usual voice, they cast someone else. See The Simpsons when the original voice for Miss Krabappel passed away. They retired that character,
I would argue or disagree because they made that decision, right? They made that decision to retire the character in honor of her. They didn't try to recast her because she passed away.
No, she left with honor, so to speak.
Yeah, but we look at, say, the only one I can think of is the 2016 Team of Ninja Turtles, which Seth Green was part of it. And then Seth Green left the project. And then I think Johnny Knoxville came in and took over it or something like that. And
I did not know that.
And I think everybody was fine with it. But I think it's more important to me is as long as the story is still good, I can get used to the new voice if you've seen the effort in there. And now you can't have a voice that's like a 180, right? You can't get like a guy that's very high pitched and you get a guy with a low voice for it.
That's Rick, it's Morty. Let's go on another space adventure. Oh, jeez. You can't.
No, you can't do that. But you could get something like, how the hell does Bugs Bunny still sound the same? They found somebody that can do a good impression of him. So that's where we can see that. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and going to the culture, the general culture of replacing, I want to use the example Roseanne Barr. She, did what she did, and they nixed her from her own show, renamed it The Connors, and it kept it pushing, and the show's still going. Mm-hmm. So this is all to say, I'm glad that they're still employing all the other writers, the other talent, the other animators. They still have jobs, and they're not throwing it out the window just because of one a-hole's alleged allegations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny because right after that happened, the day after, Adult Swim announced like Aqua Teen's coming back for a 12th season. I'm like, okay. So we need.
I'm always about some Aqua Teen.
Me too. I think it's more of a distraction. Like Aqua Teen's coming back. Be happy for that. But when it comes to the video game realm, we don't know what the next Squanch game is going to be. Maybe it'll be something totally different that doesn't involve the Justin Roiland universe in it. Maybe they'll just do something completely different. Or if they do a High Life on 2, maybe they'll get the person that does the new Rick and Morty to be part of that. So that guy will get famous pretty overnight for that,
Maybe.
So
that'd
be kind of cool.
And they can have fun writing in little meta engine because they're always meta on Rick and Morty anyway. So they can get meta with that.